Tonight I'm making meatballs and sauce, but not the kind you're expecting. I still want tender meatballs because nobody likes a tough meatball. And they won't simmer for hours, so stay and have dinner with me. The first decision is the meat itself. I'm using a combination of veal and beef. The next decision is the breadcrumbs. I soak them in milk first. It tenderizes the meat and helps bind everything together, which means I don't need eggs here. Eggs can make the meatballs firmer than I want for this dinner. And tender meatballs aren't really about adding more ingredients, it's about getting the proportions right. The full recipe is in the description. Parsley and pecorino go in too. A little garlic powder, so the meatballs already taste good before they ever meet the sauce. The beef brings flavor and the veal keeps everything so tender. And for this dinner, I let the oven do the work. They stay really tender and my stove stays really clean, and honestly, that's exactly what I want. While those cook, I'll get started on the sauce. And this is probably the biggest decision in the whole dinner. Most meatball sauces start with canned Roma tomatoes. Tonight, I'm going to be using cherry tomatoes instead. The onion and garlic go in together, but I don't want them to brown. I just want their flavor, so I'm going to start it really low. And I don't want this to become a garlic sauce. I want it to be a tomato first sauce. I actually tested this with fresh tomatoes first, but this early in the season, the canned cherry tomatoes won. They're sweeter and brighter, and honestly, they taste more like tomatoes than the fresh ones I found. If you're new here, welcome to Marty's Herbie Kitchen. This is where I show up every week for people who still enjoy making dinner from scratch, even if it's only once a week. A few good ingredients, a table worth sitting at, and a dinner that feels a little special. That's my idea of simple luxury. By now the meatballs are fully cooked and ready. I only want them in the sauce long enough for the tomatoes to pick up a little bit of the meatball and the meatballs to pick up a little bit of the tomatoes. Now most people would add more sauce here, and I'm doing the exact opposite. I don't want them swimming in sauce. I want them glazed. And because we're getting into warmer weather now, I want to keep dinner light and forget about the pasta today. Just a simple salad and some bread to catch whatever's left behind. But I wasn't planning on stopping there. I wanted one more layer, something crunchy, bright, and savory to play against the softness of the meatballs. And before we sit down, remember that trick I mentioned earlier? This is it. Right at the end, I add a small splash of thick balsamic vinegar, not a lot. I don't want the sauce to taste like balsamic, but I want a little body so the tomatoes cling to the meatballs instead of sliding underneath them. And you see how the sauce is tightening and turning glossy? That's exactly what I was after. And this is the dinner I had in mind from the beginning. Lighter than the meatballs and sauce I'd make in the middle of winter, but every bit as satisfying. And this is why I wanted that extra layer. That little bit of crunch changes everything and it wakes up the whole dinner. I'm glad you stayed. Thanks for joining me this evening. I'll see you at the next table.